This story was told to me by a former friend of mine named Eric. Eric worked for the United States Forest Service. He wasn't superstitious, wasn't into horror, and wasn't the kind of person who exaggerated stories for attention. I'd known him for years, and I trusted him. He first told me this in 2021, and every time he repeated it, the details never changed. The incident itself happened in 2016, when Eric was assigned to a temporary posting in Gifford-Pinchot National Forest in Washington State. It's a massive stretch of dense wilderness, miles of thick trees, steep terrain, and very little human presence. Some areas are so overgrown that sunlight barely reaches the ground. Eric's assignment was to monitor an old fire lookout tower positioned at the top of a mountain ridge. The tower was made of wood, elevated above the trees, and accessible only by a long, narrow staircase. There were no nearby towns, no roads, and no other personnel within miles. He was scheduled to stay there alone for 10 days. The tower had basic solar power, a radio transmitter, and a physical logbook for daily reports. The first 2 days passed without incident. During the day, Eric scanned the forest for signs of smoke. At night, he cooked simple meals, read, and went to sleep early. On the third night, Eric woke up from a strange dream. In the dream, someone was standing at the base of the tower, staring up at the staircase. When he opened his eyes, he realized the sound he'd heard wasn't part of the dream. Someone was climbing the stairs. The wooden steps creaked slowly, one step at a time. Measured, intentional. Eric grabbed the radio but didn't speak. The footsteps stopped halfway up the staircase. After several seconds of complete silence, the steps began moving downward again. When morning came, Eric went outside to check. At the base of the tower, he found bare footprints in the mud. They led toward the stairs, but there were no footprints leading away. The fourth night, the radio turned on by itself. All that came through were low, steady breathing sounds. No words, no identification. Eric tried calling out using the proper call signs. There was no response. Then a faint voice came through the static. "You're up there." He shut the radio off. On the fifth night, he heard scraping sounds against the outer walls of the tower. It sounded like fingernails dragging slowly across wood. When he checked in the morning, there were deep scratch marks etched into the boards. The sixth night, Eric heard his name being called. Not from the radio, not from outside. The voice came from inside the staircase. It sounded exactly like his own voice. On the seventh night, he opened the logbook and found an extra page that hadn't been there before. Written across it in unfamiliar handwriting were the words, "We come here every night." Eric did not sleep after that. On the eighth night, he was certain someone was sitting on the stairs below him. He could hear slow breathing echoing up through the hollow structure of the tower. It continued until sunrise. By the ninth night, Eric decided to leave. He packed his gear and opened the tower door. Below him, there was no forest. There was only darkness. Thick, endless. Like the tower was no longer standing on the mountain at all. Before he could react, something cold rested a hand on his shoulder. A voice leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Now you're one of the Watchers." Eric lost consciousness. When he woke, he was in a hospital. Forest Service officials told him he had been found inside the tower 3 days after his assignment should have ended. The radio had been transmitting a distorted signal the entire time. The final entry in the logbook read, "Eric is with us now." Eric resigned shortly after. To this day, he refuses to enter national forests, and he says that whenever he hears wooden steps creaking, he knows something is climbing. If you want to hear part 2 of this story, the things Eric never told anyone, and what was later discovered about that fire lookout tower, let me know in the comments. If this story unsettled you even a little, make sure to like the video. It helps the channel more than you think. And if you enjoy true-style, slow-burn horror stories like this one, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Because the next story is much worse.